So, hyperlocal is something, let me explain the background first before explaining what is hyperlocal. The concept of hyperlocal is that India has more than 57 urban clusters, which have more than a population of 1 million people, 10 lakh. Now, Pune 50 lakh and above, Ahmedabad crossed 40 lakh 7 years ago. Even a Baroda or a Surat etc. are all now 2 million, 3 million, 20 lakh, 30 lakh, 40 lakh population. So, in India there are so many clusters where 1 million is a very small number, 10 lakh people. The problem with any cluster of 1 million or above is that one, they are growing very fast as urban centers, and there is a lot of consumption within those centers. We are not even talking about large centers like Delhi, NCR and Mumbai metropolitan region, which are massive clusters. There we are talking 20 million people, right, or 25 million people, 2.5 crore people in Mumbai metropolitan region. If you take Mumbai city, Navi Mumbai, Thane, Danu, up to Danu, if you take that entire stretch, Panvel, it's massive number of people. Take Delhi, Faridabad, Ghaziabad, Noida, Greater Noida, okay, and even Palwal is now slowly but surely, Manesar is all coming into one big NCR chunk. It's becoming almost close to 3 crore people, right. Population of Australia is 25 million, and NCR is bigger than population of Australia, entire Australia. So, can you imagine the number of people we are talking about out here. Singapore has a population of 3.5 million, and take the floating population, still it is 6 million people, 60 lakh, right. 60 lakh is the number of people between Churchgate and Dadar. So, India is a massive population. Problem is that our population growth is chaotic. So, as the urban centers grow, right, chaos grows, and getting from point A to B becomes very, very difficult. For most people in urban India today, getting from home to office and office to home itself is, big enough a task. Okay, people travel 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours one way on an average these days. 1 hour is the average time in Mumbai for one way travel. Most people, of course, there are people who travel 3 hours, there are people who travel 15 minutes. But most people will travel 1.5 hours one way. That means definitely you do not have time for carrying out many activities such as shopping. Combine that with the fact that you have more nuclear families now, okay, and both husband and wife working, you have really a problem of finding time for doing day-to-day things. Given that entire urban chaos, people would want to go for deliveries, things which happen at their own home, right. At the same time, people do not always buy mobile phones. What do people buy every month? So, when e-commerce companies realized and analyzed that, they found out that what people buy maximum, of course, is grocery and food, right. People buy things, most of the things within their 1.5 kilometers of reach. There are things which you can't deliver home, like haircut, for example. So, there are services which are consumed in your nearby, nothing you can do about it, going to a doctor, for example. But taking a medicine is something which can go to your home. Okay, a packet of bread, basket of probably fruits, etc. is something which definitely people buy or would like to buy nearby, if they are nearby. What if they are not at home? What if it takes so much of chaos? And then there is weekend. You have a choice of enjoying the weekend, going somewhere else, or going to a big bazaar and stand in a queue. And given the chaos and the traffic, a lot of people would say there is one day when I don't want to get out of my home. So, given all these factors, hyperlocal or delivery networks that only look at a limited cluster became very, very kind of fancy. Do note, one very important part of hyperlocal is not that you are delivering in a cluster, that even e-commerce does. Yeah, even picking up from the same cluster, because in hyperlocal the delivery is measured into minutes and hours and not days. Because if I want a packet of bread, I want a packet of bread maybe in half an hour or 1 hour. Maybe I will wait for evening, half a day, but I am not going to wait for a packet of bread for 7 days. That does not make sense. Grocery is an instant consumption or near consumption item. Then there is a category of instant consumption item, which is food, and food always is hyperlocal. You do not order Domino's pizza from Gurgaon, you order it from next door, right. You obviously want to have food when you are hungry, not when you may be hungry some point of time. given that food was always hyperlocal. Grocery also is very much hyperlocal in nature, but these account for 70-80% of consumption of the urban Indian. Buying a mobile phone may be a big consumption at that point of time, but I don't think the keenest of the teenager buys a mobile phone every month. He'll buy once in 6 months if he's like too much into buying new phones. Most people will buy one in 10 months or 8 months or 11 months or 12 months. Right? You really don't buy books every week, or you don't buy CDs, which anyways have gone down. So most of the other e-commerce consumption items are once in a while. They may be bigger in nature, say furniture for example. I mean, who will buy a sofa set every month? It's going to be like once in a lifetime item, or once in 5-year item, if not lifetime. So how to grow? How to increase your gross merchandise value, which is where the entire concept of local items came in. The difficulty of course is that given that these are local items, the traditional distribution method which we saw, take it online, take it from a warehouse, ship it from A to B, then a biker comes and gives, just won't work. It will take too long. And the inventory required to be carried and centralized will be massive. You want wheat, 20 kg, right, MP Sarbati Atta. How are you going to get it from Gurgaon all the way to your home? Like, that's 35 kg is biker's limit. No? So how will you carry? And combine that with the fact that distribution exists. Why you want to reinvent the wheel? Because there are already so many stores around you which are carrying these items as a part of the normal business. Remember, e-commerce is 4.5% of retail in USA or 8% of retail in US. In India, it's 1.4% of retail. That means the remaining 98% is very much being done around you. Why not leverage best of both worlds? The distribution reach and the existing inventory of your Kirana store and service of a e-commerce. So was born the entire hyperlocal revolution. Okay. Let's understand it wasn't born in India. Hyperlocal is something as a concept has been taken and used in USA for example also. So what do they do? The difference is that you will take hyperlocal orders and immediately assign it to a set of people waiting for the hyperlocal orders to be taken. So you have a pool of bikers for example who are waiting, and there is something called as a biker bidding engine. So an order comes, you are saying I am here at Andheri West, okay, near let's say Fun Cinemas, and I want 10 packets of bread and 5 packets of this and etc. So you have a wish list available. They have got, hyperlocal companies have stationed bikers in an area which is near to you. There may be multiple bikers, they may be doing some work, they may be free. So using a mobile application, they keep a track who is free, who is available, who is doing what work. The minute a new order comes, their software finds out which are the bikers around you and pushes that demand to them, saying would you go and kind of finish this order. So biker has to say yes or no, right. If the biker says and agrees, then the first task the biker has to do is go and pick up that order, because the biker is carrying nothing, he is just waiting. Unlike in case of e-commerce where he goes to a branch, fills his bag, goes to your home and delivers. In this case, biker is simply waiting. He has a carry bag, maybe empty one, and then he is given a set of places from where he is supposed to pick up, maybe one single place, that will depend on the business model of a company, or different stores in nearby area. Suppose you say I want bread and I also want for example fruits, and same shop may not be selling it. One shop may be having bread, the other shop may be having fruits. So what this hyperlocal company does is, it goes and ties up with all the local merchants, saying that my person will come and pick up from you, okay, we will make a payment to you, right, and he will go and deliver to my customer. The customer will pay on cash on delivery, thereby completing the transaction. So biker bidder engine will get this information, the order will be allocated, it will be picked up and the biker will go and deliver. Conceptually, that is how any hyperlocal model works. Most of the hyperlocal model basically leverages what we call as Uber technology, right. What does Uber do? Uber senses where you are, asks you where you want to go, right. The minute you say I want a ride from X to Y, it finds out all the taxi drivers around X, sends them a message that please, who is ready to go to Y, Mr. A is waiting at point X, right, and that is a bidding engine. The taxi guy will say yes, whichever who says what we call as fastest swinger first says yes, he gets that assignment and he is allocated that order or that ride as Uber calls it. Obviously, you contact each other, he reaches at your point, you ride and go to the other point. That's a simple concept, everybody is familiar, I am sure, using Uber and Ola. So, very similar concept is being utilized in hyperlocal. The demand is local, the supply is local, that is hyperlocal. The demand is always local, the supply may come from a distribution network, then it will not be hyperlocal, it will be your normal traditional e-commerce distribution network. Yes, we have a question.
Now, these hyperlocal deliveries, can these services be outsourced, or each company has to have their own activity?
Good question. So, should I then set up everything myself? So, there are different business models available out here. One business model is what we call as the Grofers model, which you all are familiar probably with, the company called Grofers, who says that I will have my own biker team, right? I will take the orders also on my mobile application. I will tie up with the merchants nearby. I will direct the orders to the bikers. They will go pick up and deliver to your home. Everything will be done by me and my team. I have people who are employed by me. The biker in essence at the ground level may not be an employee, may be a contracted employee, but he is part of Grofers with uniform and everything, right? So, they are controlling the entire supply chain point of view. Supply chain, of course, they are not controlling the inventory. The only thing they are controlling is the relationship with the local merchants. The inventory is the local merchant and not with Grofers, right? Do not, Big Basket that way is different than Grocers. Big Basket is an e-commerce model which says I will fulfill a basket for you, but I will fulfill from a warehouse. So, you give me the order, I will deliver by tomorrow, or I will deliver by evening, but I cannot deliver hyperlocal in one model, but they also have a separate model for hyperlocal delivery. Ask Me Bazaar started recently with that hyperlocal kind of a delivery, where they will similarly pick up from everywhere and come and deliver to you. Pepper Tap was one more company which started on a similar concept. All these companies were saying integrated everything I will do as a model. Then there is entire food delivery model, right? The most hyperlocal of hyperlocal is food, as I said, because food is something which we are instantly consuming, as we said. So, food delivery companies, they said we will do it ourselves, but there are third party companies who came and said, why don't you focus on marketing your application, building your database, working with restaurants, we will carry out the delivery on your behalf, and we are pure delivery companies. So, Swiggy for example came as one of the companies saying that we will be a food delivery company. Tiny Owl which came and said we are a delivery company, right. So, there are a lot of companies which said we will do delivery, though Tiny Owl frankly cannot be called a pure delivery company because it also had its own app for ordering the food, right. So, if you have a separate company delivering and a separate company doing the ordering app, then that will be the model which she was talking about. Scootsy. So, Scootsy for example, Roadrunner, not Roadrunner, I think Runner, R-U-N-N-R, but that was actually a different model that was called Get My Pune, which converted itself into Runner. So, various models came to serve this particular market of food services, food delivery services, grocery delivery services, and Get My Pune incidentally was a people service, saying that you order online, okay, I will send a person and you ask him to do any task he will do which is legal in nature, okay. So, they had a name called Get My Pune, which kind of created a bit of an issue with attracting people, because people said we don't want to become peons, right. So, they couldn't get people, so they converted the name, I believe they are called Runner now. Rush, that's Rush, sorry, Runner is different, Rush is, they are called Rush now. So, all these companies' fundamental business model was that we will serve local geography. They put up of course a lot of fancy technology like Uber does, where is a person, on GPS they can find out how many people are free, which is the nearest distance, where can you go, etc., and help you out to carry out this delivery. The business model was very attractive, zero inventory model. I have zero inventory risk, inventory is with the Kirana, I don't have inventory, right. I am getting the order, I am taking it from the Kirana and delivering it to you for a fee. In theory, right, but in reality it was a little different, but we will come to that part a little later. Let us first finish the concept. So, let us say Bangalore for example, typically they will divide the entire thing into zones and they will have concepts like within zone delivery, outside zone delivery. So, we will understand how the entire hyperlocal delivery is executed. So, take Bangalore for example, which is the one on your screen right now. You typically will divide your city into multiple zones. As you know, cities have dense areas, less dense areas, outskirts, and then whenever you get an order, you will typically notice which zone he is into. then your software takes a decision whether I have somebody available in the same zone for delivery or not. Your pickup may or may not always happen in the same zone. Maybe there is an item which the consumer has ordered and no shop in that zone has it. Then maybe you have to take it from a different zone. It may make sense in that case to allocate the entire order to the stores in a different zone. The biker will go to that zone, pick up everything and come to a different zone. Then the commitment to the consumer also will be based on that. If you are aware of a city like Bangalore, the zone 3 and the zone 6 are very bad areas for traffic, even if you are a biker, right? To go into those zones and get out of those zones is very, very time consuming. And Bangalore is a city full of one ways. So while going there may be one route, the other route might be 20 kilometers in a different area. Not 20 is an exaggeration, but well, it's frankly a very, very complicated city that way. And there aren't many multiple ways to go around one place to the other. So your software has to be really smart and very local in nature. Think of it, you are serving not one city, you are serving 100 cities. That means you have to have knowledge of so many different clusters. We talked about 57 urban clusters with 1 million, correct? Now that is something which is the job of these hyperlocal companies to do, and that's where their investment into technology is very high. Mapping the locations, finding the information, giving the technology to the biker, training them, using that, putting algorithms in place to find out what batch is best with which location, etc. are something which are very, very the important part of hyperlocal model, and which is where they attracted a lot of investment, right? If they are able to pull off the service, right, they can do some very fantastic job. At 10 o'clock you order, you decided that I want to have it, the processing will happen in about 5 minutes of time, right? By 11 o'clock the biker may have the assignment and you may have a delivery by, let's say, around 14:30. Now this we are talking about still a scenario which is outside, in the sense almost you are talking about 4.5 hours worth of time. Sometimes the hyperlocal delivery may be expected within 2 hours, within 1 hour, and if it is food delivery, definitely within 20 minutes to 30 minutes is the expectation. Now in case of food, you cannot apply this zone structure that I'll get food from restaurant X which is 20 kilometers away and then get it to you. That's why most food companies will locate your GPS and say whether it is even feasible for them to deliver within the given amount of time. So food of course is more difficult to manage, more people will be required to serve a particular sector. You have to of course understand that this local delivery was always present and is present even today with the Kirana model. Every Kirana store has one guy who is otherwise doing some odd job, okay, maybe cleaning the shop, maybe putting things together, will also act as a delivery person, right? You call him up on phone and he will send a person subject to availability. But there is no tracking of that person. You cannot have a mobile application and see where is he coming. You have no service level guarantee that he will come. There is no confirmation that if you call Kirana store, he will say yes, he say, aaj mera banda nahi aaya. Nothing you can do about it. So obviously that's an unorganized model of working which the hyperlocal industry tried to change. I think you had a question.
सर क्वेश्चन है, मैं आपको कुछ बताना चाहती हूँ. आई स्टे एट कांदिवली, तो मेरे घर के बाहर थोड़ा आगे जाके सिलमाट है. तो जैसे आप बोल रहे हो ना, लोकल ब्रेड हो गया वो 5 मिनट में लेके आ जाता है.
करेक्ट.
तो उसके लिए मुझको इतना टाइम नहीं करना, उसको फ़ोन करना है और वो तुरंत दूध वॉटेवर जो भी चाहिए, दवाइयाँ, कॉस्मेटिक्स सब लेके आ जाता है. तो फिर इतना खर्चा करने की क्या ज़रूरत?
Precisely. So that is a very good question. I'll tell you why. So when hyperlocal companies started deploying their services, they said, whom are we competing with? And they said, we are competing with this Kirana who is next door and delivering everything in time. Why will consumer buy from me? Either the consumer is not at home. That is one attraction, that okay, I am on my way from office and I am doing it online, it will come to me. By the time I reach my home, I can track and etc. So for that set of people. What about the remaining set of people? How do I convince a housewife, for example, that you don't need to step out of your home, you watch your serial and I'll get you the material. Why will you do that? So came the entire model of discounting, where they said, I will find a way to make it cheaper for you. Now, cheaper always catches attention in India, right? So how do I make it cheaper? Now, in theory, it is possible to do it very much. Why? Because you are going to a retailer and say, you already bought material from your wholesaler. You are sitting on inventory, which is otherwise not getting sold. I am selling it for you, right? Since I am selling it for you, please share your margin with me. Assuming that he has got, let's say, 12% margin. Most of the retailers on most items have about 12 to 15% margin, right? So in 12 to 15% margin, you give me 6%, you keep 6%. The retailer will say why? Otherwise that is unsold goods for you, right? You will have a higher turnover, you will have cash faster, which a retailer very much understands, then that better to sell than keep, because he has invested physical money, he can buy more inventory, he can do more tons. If he does more ton, he earns more money. That is the logic every kirana understands, right, from last 500 years. So he will say, yeah, why not, maybe I can try for that. You tell the consumer, see, I am making it cheaper for you, right? So if you go to kirana directly, he will not give you cheaper, but when I come and I give it to you, it is cheaper for you. Apart from that, they also put an acquisition money on it, saying that if you become my customer, I'll give you a discount. Now in grocery, at least there is a defined margin, there is a small margin to play. In food, it's a totally negotiation game. A restaurant exists, makes food, he has got food lying. That food, end of the day, is a waste, right? And if he has a consumer, fine. If he doesn't have a consumer, that's a loss for a restaurant. They don't really make it on a variable basis that only when I get an order, then I'll start cooking. They have certain, obviously their own trends in making. Secondly, for restaurant, making food per se is not that expensive as selling it, because the margin is like, very high. I'm sure all of you understand that if you get a idli for 60 rupees, the raw material doesn't cost 60 rupees. It costs 6 rupees, right? It's the hotel, the setup, the people, fixed costs account for a bigger cost. So why not give it to somebody else, one more item, great, and share 50% margin? Why not? So I'll say it's a marginal cost of operation. If there are 100 pav bhaji selling, and if I am selling 120, and if remaining 20 pay I am getting 50% margin, I am still making profit, because my margin on raw material is 1000%. Given that logic, they tied up with a lot of food companies and offering discounts, saying that I give you, you order from me online, you will get the same item which you walk into a hotel and deliver to your home, you will get it for 50% or 40% or 30% off, right? Domino's started offering that. You order online to push their online sales, I'll give you a 30% off on pizza or 25% off on pizza, and started coming up with these schemes. That attracted the consumers a lot, because obviously they are saving money, they are not stepping out of their home, they are getting a technologically better experience, and then of course entire thing put together, it's a good idea. The only thing which will be, if you have real urgency saying, I have to have my bread right away, those people will definitely still run around to the shop corner, go and get it. So you can't convert every customer for buying everything into hyperlocal. That is not the idea, right? 70% of the spend of everybody is hyperlocal. Of that, you are planning to convert a 10% market or a 5% market, which is also immense amount of gross merchandise value. So hyperlocal companies very much understood this. They said there will be a set of people who will say, no, this is like too much hassle, I'll go and buy. There will be people who will do it faster. And so, but at the same time, even if like in case of e-commerce is converted 4%, if they could convert 4%, 5% of people, the GMV or gross merchandise value is very, very high. How will they make money? Right? What is the money that they will make? Because first they have to spend a lot of money onto so many things. For example, they have to create this entire cloud application, to make the mobile application, they have to have this entire customer acquisition. There are so many things that the hyperlocal company is required to do. Only then they will be able to deploy. This is a huge fixed cost of doing it. The idea of hyperlocal company is that the scale will justify all these technology investment. If Uber has invested into software, every additional driver is no cost, more the merrier. So Uber obviously tries to see that if there are many more drivers on the same technology platform, great for them, because they are running more and more transactions from those drivers. Same way hyperlocal companies, once the platform is made, software is made, all this technology is put, it is just fantastic to have more and more consumers. That is the logic of hyperlocal, right?